Welcome to the Osmo Early Bird Podcast. I'm your old pal Emac coming to you for like 5 days straight now because Dan Strafford was kind enough to hook me up and fill in for me while I was down at the FSTA in warm and sunny Tampa, Florida. Laffy, who is joining me today, is chilling, literally chilling out there in Philadelphia. I had the 3-degree temperature here in Virginia. It is 17 now. We have gone through 4 different burst pipes, not for the last 2 years, but they all happen in our garage. So we have 3 different space heaters that we turn on at intervals. So nothing burns out, but hopefully everything's staying flowing. Laffy, talk to me, man. We've got a lot of exciting news here in the NBA. We're recording this on Thursday night. The 10:30 games have not yet tipped off, but apparently LeBron James is playing, and Kristaps Porzingis no longer with the New York Knickerbockers. Laffy, the floor is yours.
I mean, some people like this. Actually, Josh was okay with it when we spoke about it earlier today. I'm on the other side of it because I think you were taking a massive gamble, getting rid of a potentially top 10 player on his rookie contract and dumping cap space with, obviously the hopes that you land the Kevin Durant and the Kyrie Irving, and I mean, unless they've made some backdoor deal already that we're unaware of, this seems like a sizable risk to me. And I guess one of the other questions is, are the Knicks the same team? Do they draw the same allure that they once did? Because they're sure going to need to if they look to land these free agents. Because on the surface, I mean, you get rid of Porzingis, Tim Hardaway, Lee, whatever. You're getting rid of salary. Those guys aren't bringing you anywhere. But then you're getting the thing that I didn't like, and you can make any justification, any argument you want either way. It's basketball, and everything's objective, at least until the results come out. So right now, nobody's right, nobody's wrong. But
we all look good before the games start, Laffy.
Right. That's why Freezing Cold Takes, my dude on Twitter, has one of the greatest accounts because he makes sure to let everyone know when your terrible takes end up being wrong. But they draft Frank Ntilikina with the 8th overall pick last draft in the 2017. And, of course, the Dallas Mavericks take Dennis Smith directly after that at 9. So now you're getting Dennis Smith back. You're shipping Kristaps Porzingis. Look, the Mavericks, there's no way that their medical specialist didn't, check out Porzingis to the degree. Like, there's no way that didn't happen. Maybe the Knicks medical staff knows something they don't, but it seems unlikely for you to bring someone on that big of a trade with not feeling entirely confident that it's just, an injury that he'll recover from, even though he's 7'3". But yeah, they're going to need to land some free agents in the next year, or else, Knicks fans, I mean, I would imagine Knicks fans are already quite disappointed about it. They're still holding out hope, of course, that some big names roll through into MSG. But if they don't, touring free agency land at least one, really 2 marquee names, there's going to be hell to pay, would be my guess.
They have to get one of the top 10 players, Laffy. Now I feel like I'm on your serious show with you. Here we go. But right, we've got a couple minutes here. But they've got to land at least one of the top 10 players. I don't think MSG, Madison Square Garden, has the same cachet that it did in the last 2 decades. It's been a while. I mean, it's been a while since Ricky Nelson sung about the Garden Party song. It's been a long time. Nobody's going to remember that except me, maybe Jay Walker if he is listening. But it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, what are you going to do? New York just it's not the same as it was in the mid, early, late 90s even. And we're in 2019. That's the frustrating thing. Now, I've gone up from the D.C. area, drove down from suburban Virginia, hopped on the train, and exited Madison Square Garden into New York City twice. Madison Square Garden, still impressive, even though I didn't go inside there. You come out of it, you're on the Avenue of the Americas, or you head up to the main the Central Square. Why am I blanking on it? Times Square. Thank you, Times Square.
So that's what you were looking for? I could have helped you out.
Well, yeah, it's like, holy shit. Luffy, I go up to New York. I'm like, all right, the hotel is like 9 blocks away. I'll walk. The blocks are like 200 yards each.
Mm-hmm.
And there are more people in the crosswalk than in my hometown. Shout out to Kashmir, Washington. 2,500 people. My mom was the mayor, my cousin the sheriff. What the hell? Anyway, oh my God, I'm not cut out.
Is that real?
That's real for me. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Laffy looking a little flabbergasted for those of you not seeing the live feed. But yes, that I grew up in a team.
Yeah, I feel like you were one of the towns that you'd see in like Leatherface or Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Pretty close. Pretty close. There was
how many stop signs or stoplights did you have in your town?
We had a flashing red on 2 sides and a yellow on the other, and there were all sorts of rules around it, and nobody could get it. I went back home this winter, and it's now a roundabout. That fucked me up. I'm sorry, F-bomb. Sorry, kids. Earmuffs. Belated earmuffs. That one messed me up. It's a roundabout. How do you deal with a roundabout literally in the middle of a town? I get them on the highways. I get them when I've been to Europe. But in the middle of your hometown, right by the bank on one side, the drugstore on the other, and this town park. What? Yeah, I was now the tourist in my own hometown.
Yeah, that's definitely strange. That's definitely strange.
Out of control. All right, let's hit the news and notes and get on into it. We have a random short 5-game slate here on Friday night, but not to fear. There's 11 games on Saturday. Laffy is now up. He's standing up. He's doing a dance because Adam Scherer is going to be riding an 11-game slate on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. We do have 3 games, but they start at 1, 2, and 3 Eastern. So keep that in mind, especially if you're playing some of those cross-sports promotional bets. Check out the Osmo Odds Show that has covered many of the player prop bets. That is already in the can. Go to the Osmo YouTube channel, and you can check that out. Ben Ross.
By the way,
yes.
Sorry. Yeah, Ben Rasa and
Jason and Jordan are all on that show.
Yeah. Some of the cross-sport bets out there right now, I'm hitting them heavy for the Super Bowl. William Hill's got a couple that are just phenomenal. Like, I mean, nothing is guaranteed, but Jason Tatum points, rebounds, or points, rebounds, assists, or James White rushing yards. I mean, give me Tatum all day. James White not have any. Kyrie Irving, if he plays. Kyrie Irving points and assists against the fastest-paced team in the league, or Patriots points. Give me Irving there. There's some really good ones. Or total points of the Super Bowl, or Harden points, rebounds, and assists. That's another good one. I actually like the total points there for the 2 teams. But a lot of great ones pretty much everywhere. I did like the ones on William Hill a lot. I think there is an edge to be had there if you look through them, and some really great basketball cross-sport bets with the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And hey, while we're into it, let's talk about the free content for those of you that have not yet joined Osmo.com. I have my last in the series of primetime slate articles for the Super Bowl, 2,800 words, breaking it down. I break it down each team by position and then rank the players, give you some strategies to look for from a cash game perspective as well as tournament perspective. The Pro Bowl contest breakdown was behind the paywall, the only one that I've done so far for NFL behind the paywall, but I did turn my $66 into $235. Very happy with that one. Check it out. We will have other content as well, but I'm now going to break down the list of games. I'm showing this up to the screen, so for those of you watching, check it out. Laffy, we got a lot of people laughing. I do put these on a legal pad so I can keep track of them throughout the day. So
it is bizarre.
It's old school. Let's go with old school. Bizarre seems a little scary, but we do have Zach Attack from Chicago, questionable with an ankle injury. Garrett Temple is out. Caspi is a game time decision with a knee leaning towards doubtful. Kyrie Irving is not on the injury report, and we do want to mention he's going against the New York Knicks. They're going to be shorthanded, so we'll have to see how much he plays. We have Luke Cornett, probable with his ankle injury, and New York is going to need as many players as they can have. Terrence Ferguson, I write him down as Turd Ferguson. He should be back with a back injury. He's probable. Steven Adams, ankle injury. He is probable. Wade, that would be Dwayne, is hopeful with a knee injury. However, he is not on Miami's injury report. Utah is still going to be without Dante Exum, Raul Neto, and Thabo Sefolosha. But Houston has Chris Paul the third, CP3. He has a back injury now. He is listed as questionable. He may not play this one in Denver. They do have a back-to-back, Denver on Friday, in Utah on Saturday. So playing at elevation both days. He's played 26 and 25 minutes in the 2 games he has been back since he has dealt with his hamstring injury. And then they play again on Monday in Phoenix. So they are on a road trip there. So be aware of that. I suspect he will play one of the Denver or Utah game. They said early on in his recovery that he will not be playing on back-to-backs, and we are facing one on the road at both of the elevation cities. So just be aware. As we saw on Thursday night, LeBron's all of a sudden back. Weird things happen. Just be aware. Brandon Knight is available, Laffy. He hasn't played since January 11th. So Jamal Murray said he was going to play that next day after rolling his ankle. Nope, he's already ruled out. Excuse me. And Gary Harris, questionable with a groin. Back-to-backs, we have Miami, Utah, and Charlotte on home and homes. We have Houston, Atlanta on Friday road, Saturday road, and then we have Denver, Friday home, Saturday road. What do you got for us? Point guard position. Take her away, fella.
Well, I guess we should also point out, too, that this whole Knicks team, by the way, Trey Burke wasn't initially listed in that trade.
Oh, no. Do we have an update? I know some teams are searching for first-round picks here, particularly Dallas.
Well, I'm saying originally it looked like a 3 for 3, and Porzingis, Hardaway, and Lee went, but then Burke got sent off as well. So, right. That was. Did you know that?
No, I did not. That's enough. Right. And I've been watching alerts and looking at stuff, so I missed that.
So actually, do you have by any chance? Do you have DraftKings pulled up?
I can in just one moment.
If you pull up DraftKings, you'll see that his name is also X'd out. So from the New York Knicks, the team has acquired guard Dennis Smith, center DeAndre Jordan, guard forward Wesley Matthews, and 2 future first-round picks. So here's the thing. They got 2 future firsts. This is where I said, so this originally when Woj and everyone else was putting it out there were no picks involved, right? Getting 2 future first-round picks, I don't know what year they are. This could end up looking okay for the Knicks, right? But at the time, it looked so much worse because they didn't have any picks involved. So I'm just seeing now too that so it was Porzingis, Hardaway, Burke, and Lee. So 2 first-round picks there. Let's see how this turns out. Depending on how they're protected, I'm not going to get into all of it now. Maybe it's posted. I don't know. But if one of them's unprotected or whatever, I guess that's okay. But now you're just making this team this Dallas team should be getting better. And I guess we'll find out. So forget about that. But yeah, Hardaway, Burke, they're gone. Lee's gone, and Porzingis is gone. But not that matters. It's just funny because the Knicks are playing on this slate. So what do we do with them? Well, we will certainly jump into all of that, and I guess we can start at the point guard position. This is the Knicks are going to be without some serious depth here, and they're already dealing with injuries. Emmanuel Mudiay is already ruled out. So, and Frank Ntilikina is also out. So my guess is that Kadeem Allen could play like
the favorite for anyone who rostered Trey Burke a couple days ago.
Right, but I don't know if I don't know if they're going to play. See, that's the problem. Are they going to play? Like if Dennis Smith plays, then he's going to play 38 minutes, you would think, in this spot. We don't know right now.
Right. So here's the one issue, just for everybody listening along. You cannot the trade won't be consummated until both sides, all the players have passed physicals for their new team's doctors. And the wild card here is because Dallas has offered up the whole thing that I saw before. Now that I'm seeing what Loppy's saying is they're trying to get 2 first-round picks. Those first-round picks aren't made because Dallas doesn't have the picks to give. So here's how it works. You cannot give 3 consecutive years of first-round draft picks away. This is from way, way back once upon a time. San Diego Clippers, well, maybe was it the Cleveland Cavaliers? Nobody remembers the Clippers in San Diego. Oh, boy, I'm old now. But there is a rule. It's the Ted Septian rule, I believe was his name. You cannot give up 3 straight years of first-round picks. Now, if you get somebody else's pick for that year, you can give it up. You just can't give 3 of your own.
3 of your own. Okay.
It's to not ruin your franchise's future because he did that for some just awful players, not even first rounders themselves when he was making those deals. So what I first thought when I said they're looking for a first round pick, they were going to find one that, it's Mark Cuban. He's got gazillions of dollars. He might buy one or do something, that you can do outside of things. Now that they've got to get 2, that'll be interesting to see what happens. But it makes it a little easier because they could find some from playoff teams and perennial contenders and work those into that one. But just be aware, this trade may not be consummated in time for any of these players to play.
Well, I don't think it will be. I'm thinking now that it won't be, but just in case, we've seen stranger things.
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
They really are. We've seen teams rush players in, but really with the Knicks having no real desire to win, I don't see why that would be the case. So my expectation is that Kadeem Allen sees a ton of minutes, and he will be chalk, but he's also going to be worthwhile chalk if he's playing huge minutes at minimum salary and actually handling point guard duties, because you really have to consider a couple things here. Unless you're talking about Alonzo Trier, who is by no means some star point guard that's some excellent distributor or ball handler, bringing the ball up the court. It's we feel great about that, so we'll just have him. No, aside from that, what do we got? Dotson and Knox and these guys. You're going to need somebody to handle the rock, and whether he's passing every opportunity on every possession and in transition in the half court, whatever, it still means that he's going to see those minutes and he's going to see a lot of touches. So Kadeem Allen to me makes for a very, very strong play here, but I'll work my way back up to the top. We talk about not predicting blowouts. Once in a while, there are exceptions to every rule. And with the Knicks team that is in place right now, you're talking about an active roster, assuming these guys don't play, assuming Jordan, Matthews, and Smith are out, of Alonzo Trier, Kadeem Allen, Dotson, Kevin Knox, Mario Hezonja, Lance Thomas, Noah Vonleh, and Enes Kanter and Mitchell Robinson. Kanter actually got on the court, did some weird stuff, kissed the floor and whatever. Knicks fans are really pissed off at him right now. Just look at Twitter. Pretty funny. But that's a terrible team, man. This could be an absolute bloodbath. So with Kyrie Irving, paying that much for him is a little bit tough for me here. And I think I'd rather look at a few other guys. First of all, Russell Westbrook's not even that much more expensive than him. I'll take some Westbrook against Miami in a game that I expect to be competitive. Russell Westbrook is definitely not a good shooter, and we've seen that more evident than ever recently, but he's still putting up monster games. The triple-doubles are coming in bulk. He's still averaging a triple-double for the 3rd straight season. I mean, it's just silly what he does. So, he's on the map. Kemba Walker, I really don't like the matchup with Memphis. They play at the slowest pace in basketball, and quite frankly, Kemba has struggled recently. His peripheral stats, his facilitating, most importantly, just his assist rate has come down considerably since the start of this month. For some people that are listening, it's going to be February. Since the start of January, his assist rate has come down very, very considerably, and that concerns me a bit. But fortunately, there are other places to look here. And Kadeem Allen, he will be one of them as much as you love it or hate it. Justice Winslow has point guard eligibility. Look, OKC plays solid defense, but you're getting a very nice pace-up spot here. I expect to see a decent amount of scoring. And again, a close game. You're getting 35 minutes a night from Winslow, who's actually running the point. That, to me, stands out as a pretty strong play in terms of being sub 6K on DraftKings. I don't mind that at all. Alonzo Trier, do you want to pay that much for him? Normally not. No, probably not a good idea. If you were to make an argument that you think he's just going to see a shitload of minutes because there's nobody else, then I guess we could have that conversation. And then really the same conversation with Monty Morris, who got the start and played 40 minutes last game. Really, if I'm going to play one of these guys, give me Monty Morris against Houston instead of Alonzo Trier, who's really not good at basketball, still has David Fidsdale as his coach, still facing Boston. I'd actually rather take the $300 savings on Monty Morris if I'm looking in that range.
And that makes a lot of sense, Loppy. He is a lot more polished. He has had the opportunities so far this season. Reminder that Kadeem Allen was drafted 2 years ago, so he has been in the league or the G League for the last 2 years. He was the 53rd pick, came up with Boston. There are only 60 picks in the NBA draft. Let's see. He played for the Maine Red Claws, and then this year he played for the Westchester Knicks before coming to the Knicks. He has 2 games, 18 minutes in each of them. He has a grand total of 10 field goal attempts, 5 made. He's scoring about 0.8 fantasy points per minute. Hey, minutes equal opportunities, 3,300 on DraftKings. Just know that he does not have a ton of experience or anything like that. So I think looking to Monte Morris or somebody else is not a bad way to go. We only have 5 games, so this could be a line of demarcation or a differentiation point as we look here to Friday's games. Going into the players that we know will play, we do have Ricky Rubio, who is getting – no, they're not playing. I'm sorry. Lofty, we do these at night. We do the days. We have the next day. Ricky Rubio is not playing on Thursday night, but he's going to be going against Atlanta, who is going on their West Coast road trip. He is 6,000 on DraftKings. That is intriguing. You have Justice Winslow going against Oklahoma City. They play at one of the fastest pace since Christmas, and he is the point guard, the de facto point guard, or point guard actually named by Coach Eric Spoelstra. He is sitting there at 5,800. He's going to be somewhat intriguing. You can also slot him in as your small forward on DraftKings. Those are the guys that I am kind of looking at. You do have Tyler Johnson there at 4,200. He may have a migraine. He may have had a nightmare. He may have had an upset stomach. Who knows if he's going to play.
He came off the bench last game, played only 28 minutes instead of the 30-plus he'd be seeing, and that was with Dwayne Wade out. So a little bit concerning there.
It is. No, that's why I was, not making up maladies. These are actual maladies that he has had.
He suffers from a lot of nonsense. The real thing is, if Chris Paul plays and D'Antoni says he can play 30 minutes because he was originally expected to see an uptick in minutes before he, came down with his back ailment. If that's the case, you got Rubio at 61 or Chris Paul at 68. Give me Chris Paul there. I mean, in terms of just his floor, it's significantly higher. But right now, I really don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a mess. But, hey, we've got 5 games. That's 10 teams in the player pool. We, of course, will have the deep dive written by Laffy as he gets news after shoot-around, and he will be breaking down the various rotations and lineups. You can get that behind the paywall at Osmo.com utilizing the promo code EARLYBIRD. All one word. Go to Osmo.com in the upper right. There's a join tab. Pick any 1-month subscription. Heck, include the one with the Fantasy Cruncher add-on. Last cell or field that you will fill out is the one you want. Type in early bird, all one word, 50% off any 1-month subscription. Laffy, 12,900 in altitude. It doesn't matter. It's James Harden. He is Superman. What are you going to do here with a $12,900 James Harden? Let's assume we get the same 25 minutes from Chris Paul that we've had the last 2 games.
If we get the same minutes from Chris Paul, then I still think Harden's in play. But if Chris Paul's out, then you just play Harden everywhere. It's really it. I mean, look at the other players on this slate. You have Nikola Jokic against Houston. I think it's a strong spot. As much as I love Kenneth Faried, he's not equipped to deal with somebody like Jokic. I've talked about this a lot. Kenneth Faried's best defense comes, in transition or chase down blocks on hustle plays, but not necessarily in the half court where the offense is set. He's not good in that respect. He's not terrible, but he's not good. And Jokic should eat him alive there. That's what I would expect to see. But I still think there's no real question. If Chris Paul sits, James Harden is the guy, and you're getting him at a discounted price point compared to what we had seen on him. He was up to 13.8 and 13.7, 13.6. So sub 13K Harden without Chris Paul, believe it or not, is a bargain. 13.6 on FanDuel, I would make the same argument. So we'll have to wait on Chris Paul's status because Harden goes from a very solid option to a guy that if you fade him, your night could be over, as we saw so many times with Paul out over the past month. But I think the position has enough. Winslow, I prefer over Richardson. Not to say Winslow's at this position, but I do prefer him over Richardson. In the same team in that same backcourt. Will Barton was a colossal disappointment last time out in a spot where he really should have been better. I mean, you're going up against the depleted skeleton crew of a Pelicans squad that's without Anthony Davis, Nikola Mirotic, Etuan Moore, Alfred Payton, Julius Randle. Everybody's out. And he plays 26 minutes, gets in early foul trouble, finishes with 16 fantasy points. Actually, someone tweeted me and said, and I will censor myself here because we've already gone at it. He said, man, F you, Dave. I had Marcus Morris over Barton all day long until listening to your show. F, man. F you, man. Sorry. Can't get them all, pal. Didn't even follow me. He had the gall. Didn't even follow me on Twitter. At least, I can't say that.
The courtesy follow. There's nothing wrong with that, Laffy.
There's no way I can phrase that and still have it be somewhat family friendly. I don't want somebody driving their kids to school and listening to this and them asking, what's that mean? Will Barton, though, he played 36 minutes the game prior, and he's still another thing. The concern there, too, is that when we talked about Will Barton, that on the deeper dive, he was expected to run the point as he did the day before, and then Monty Morris, that news broke later on that Monty Morris was running the point. That was after the show. Sure, you still think he's a fine play, but I much prefer him at the point than I do, starting at the wing. I think that hurts Will Barton's value. I don't think he's an awful play here because you're still getting a good price point, and this game should be really good. 65 on FanDuel, 66 on DraftKings, 227 total, 5-point spread. All of that looks good, but I much would have preferred him starting at the point, and I think that definitely hurts him a little bit.
All right, let's hit a few other two guards here. We have Joe Ingles going against Atlanta, 5,300, solid price point considering how quickly Atlanta plays. We have that's exactly what we have. Jeremy Lamb, 5,600 going against Memphis. Not a fan. Eric Gordon, much better if Chris Paul is out, but I don't hate him at 5,000 even going against Denver in the Pepsi Center up in the Mile High Thin Air. Anybody else here at this substandard level of shooting guard?
Yeah, I seem to be on a different page than you, and I know Adam was on the same page as you. So I guess I'll say I was on an island amongst the three of us. Actually, I think Josh liked him too in this spot. I'm a little bit different here. I don't like Eric Gordon when Paul and Harden are both there. I get it. He's only 5K. I understand he's playing a lot of minutes. It's just so hard for him to get there because he does nothing outside of scoring. And, he needs 25 real points to get you anything worthwhile at this rate. If Chris Paul is out, that's a different story. 100%, I'd be okay with that. But when all of Gordon's minutes are coming with at least Harden and Paul, and many of them with both of them on the court, if they're all starting, to me, I just don't see him getting it done. It's a bad position. You're right. No question. It's a really bad spot. I don't want to pay that much for Donovan Mitchell either. Sure, it's a great matchup against Atlanta, but just, Rubio's healthy too. If Rubio is out and Exum and all these guys were out and Neto, they were all out and Mitchell's running the point, I'd have a lot of him. But with Rubio healthy, it definitely takes some shine off of him. So I'd probably get away from that as well, which makes Harden that much more appealing no matter who plays, really.
All right, let's continue forth here. We're going to move on to small forward. There's really only two plays. Paul George, Will Barton. That's going to do it. Will Barton has disappointed many a time here now that he is starting at point guard. Paul George, though, very intriguing. He is arguably, I've seen from a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people in the DFS world, thinking of him as the fourth most valuable player, potentially even more valuable than Russell Westbrook for his price point. He has topped 55 DraftKings points in 6 of his last 7 games. I like that, Lofty. I like that a lot. What do you got here for Paul George?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. It's a guy that, we've been talking about for a while now. You just look at all of his numbers on the season, career high points per game, 4 more points per game than he's averaged in his best season, career high rebounds per game, pretty tied with his career high assists per game, career high steals per game, you name it. Everything here is at a career high mark for someone like George, and his 20 field goal attempts as well. Usage rate, almost 30%. He's rebounding at 11.5, assisting at 17.6. Those aren't great on the surface, but when you combine all of them, include a 3% steal rate, he just has so much ability to put up big numbers. He's also attempting almost 7 free throws per game. So, yes, Paul George, perfectly reasonable spot against Miami. Do I wish he was a little bit cheaper? Yeah, but he's been way too good. And honestly, with the way he's been playing, 9,900 on DraftKings is actually a very reasonable price. It's just, kind of sticker shock because you're like, oh, it's Paul George. But then you realize this isn't exactly the same Paul George. 11.4 on FanDuel is a little bit different. I still prefer Westbrook if we're just talking cross positions at 11.6 to 11.4. I still prefer Westbrook there. But on DraftKings, where Westbrook's $11K and George is $1,100 cheaper, you have a real argument to be made for George.
Is there anybody else at the small forward position, just from our foundational glance here on the Early Bird podcast, that you would consider?
Yeah, Kyle Anderson at 4,400 on DraftKings. It's not fun, but as we expected, as we talked about, he went from playing 30 minutes in his first game back to 34 minutes the following night. If you're getting 34 minutes from Anderson at 4,400, you can do a whole lot worse. Charlotte's played very, very rough defense recently. I believe over the last month, they ranked bottom 5 in defensive rating, which really shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. And believe it or not, Cody Zeller's absence, I think, has hurt them more than many would have initially expected to be the case. So, since the 1st of January, the Charlotte Hornets rank 26th in defensive rating, playing at a not the fastest pace, somewhere around the middle of the league. But at that price, it doesn't really matter with Kyle Anderson. He's cheap enough to run out there. And then the other guys, because it is another ugly position, you have to ask yourself, what are we going to do with the Knicks? Is this a Knicks team that we want to roll the dice on? You do have Justice Winslow, by the way. So if you're not feeling comfortable with Barton, I actually think Winslow is probably a better play than Barton here at a discount. But Mario Hezonja, do we get run from him? He's played 30, 26, and 32 minutes over his last 3 games. I mean, I think even, despite the difficult matchup, you probably have to consider him because you're taking Burke and Hardaway, the 2 highest usage guys on that team, off the court. The 2 highest usage guys are now gone, And we don't even know if Cantor's going to play more than 8 or 9 minutes, if get off the bench at all. So Hezonja's going to have an opportunity to put up some numbers here.
Oh, Mario Hezonja.
It's ugly, but the position's really rough itself. And honestly, it's not like Kyle Anderson has been stellar either. So I think this is a big-time ownership game at small forward because there's no clear-cut option. I'd want to see what the ownership's going to look like. If everyone's going to pile on Hezonja, then I'll go to Anderson and vice versa because there's no real clear distinction between either of them. Both of them can be terrible. Both of them can be good enough at their price.
All right, that brings us to the next position. That would be power forward, Laffy. We have myth, we have legend, we have man. No, that is manimal. Kenneth Faried up to 6,900, languished on the bench for the last couple seasons in Denver and this season with Brooklyn. He has broken out in the absence of Capella in Houston. He is 6,900. However, here are his last 4 games where he has started for Houston. 40 DraftKings points, 36, 44, 33, 20, the one coming off the bench. He is well over a fantasy point per minute. What are we doing with the manimal?
Yeah, I like Kenneth Faried. I love Kenneth Faried, man. You know how I feel about this guy. On this slate, I don't think it's a must, and the matchup with Jokic is definitely less than enticing. But that doesn't mean that you can't still consider him. You said it; it's a 5-game slate, and there really isn't all that much value to be had here. With that said, it's likely that we can probably do better. By the way, my connection coming through clear? I just had something say my connection's unstable, which is strange, and I don't understand why.
You have been good thus far on my end. And I am plugged into the router, so I don't think it's this one.
Yeah, I'm not. But
cardinal rule there, Dave Walker.
Never am. Only for the serious show I am.
So I don't qualify for damn it. Now I demand a guest appearance on the serious show.
Happily have you on, man. But that's a little different. If I fall off that, I'm not even allowed to connect without it. Like the box that I have here, the Comrex box or the Codex box is set up to where unless you have like a special code that can, from what I've been told, unless you have a special code that can bypass it, you can't even connect unless you're grounded, unless you have the Ethernet cord.
Oh my. There you go.
Which is smart. You don't want people going, Wi-Fi like at the beach, doing a radio show 100 feet away from their router. That's not a good idea.
You've never done that before, Laffy. You've never done that.
No, but I've done some stuff from the beach, not serious shows. Oh, remind me to tell you about the story where I had to use the bathroom during a serious show, and the box came with me. Well, that's for another time.
Definitely for another time, but it will be told. Now that I'm aware of it, it will be told.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's been an entertaining few years. But Kenneth Faried is getting the minutes, man. Like, as long as Kenneth Faried's getting the minutes, then I'm going to have some interest in Kenneth Faried. It's pretty much all that it comes down to. Now, last game, I was looking at this to see if he got in any foul trouble. He didn't. He had, single fouls throughout a few rotations throughout the entire game, but still got 30 minutes. His rotations were really chopped too. I wonder if there was a specific reason for that. I don't specifically know if it was a matchup thing for D'Antoni. I don't. But he played, 7 minutes in the first. Then he started the second, played 6 minutes, came out for 2 minutes, and then played 4 minutes to close it out, and played into the third for 4:45. Then comes out, plays a minute and a half left in the third, and then 40 seconds into the fourth, comes out for 2 minutes, and then plays 6 minutes, but didn't close the game. Right? He didn't close the game. The PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, James Harden, Chris Paul, and a combination of Austin Rivers and Ennis closed it out. They obviously went really, really small there. And Tim Frazier, Kenrich Williams, Jahlil Okafor, Holiday, and Miller closed it out. So maybe Maybe it was just like super small ball there, but still got 30 minutes. And had he closed that game out as he has been, EMAC, he would have played 35 minutes. So if the downside is 30 and the upside's 37, 38, which we've seen from him, then I think that's perfectly fine. I still think Farid's cheap enough given the minutes. I don't love him here, but I definitely don't dislike him at all. And I think you could do a whole lot worse when you're talking about someone at the position. And really from a value standpoint, like a point per dollar standpoint, he's probably one of the better plays at the position.
All right, a couple other guys down here in the cheap seats before we head on to the pivot position and roll on out of here. Jay Crowder gets a nice matchup. Utah against Atlanta. Well, Atlanta doesn't necessarily go small. They do have Dwayne Dedmon, Alex Lynn, and Collins, so that is nobody that is going to scare Jay Crowder. He could get some mop-up duty as we don't project blowouts here, but Utah is favored by 12.5 against a high-paced team. Could be some mop-up duty for Jay Crowder as long as he gets 25, 30 minutes, which is not much more than his regular rotation. This is the kind of game that he can feast in. He is not afraid to block shots from behind players, jump the passing lane, active on rebounds, fill the lane on fast breaks. That's a solid one. Luke Cornett, depending on what is going on with the Knicks, is 4,300. Yes, he is going against Boston, but who the hell knows who is playing for the Knicks other than the ball boy and the lucky fan in section 124, depending on the halftime drawing. And then down really deep, we have one Bam Adebayo. Always tough to predict with Hassan Whiteside, but he is power forward and center eligible. He is 4,200, and we do have a questionable Steven Adams with his ankle injury. Anybody else here at power forward before we head on to our last position, Lofty?
I actually thought Cornett was still out, so that's my fault. The fact that Cornett's probable means that if you have Cornett and Mitchell Robinson splitting the center minutes and Vonleh goes back to the 4, that Mario Hezonja could legitimately lose a lot of minutes, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him play a lot less than people expect. So if that's the case and Hezonja is going to be popular, now that I'm seeing this, so totally my fault. I thought he was still out.
Fair. So from our friends at Roto World, this says David Fisdale said on January 22nd, 9 days ago, that he expected Cornett to miss a couple of weeks. So we're still within that time frame, but their analysis is now that it says he may play, it looks like he's beating that timetable. And then they're saying through 8 games in January, he's posted 10, 3, and 2 3-pointers per game, along with 2 stocks, as you like to say. Solid option if in. Your mileage may vary. A lot we're waiting on, but don't lose sight of the unicorn net, as one Josh Engelman likes to say.
Oh man, I didn't know that. I'd rather go. I like Paul Millsap at 5K, 34
Sapper.
minutes.
That's a Jay Walker special. Shout out to our buddy Jay Walker 72.
Yeah, he's not the same player he once was, but that's okay. He's also not priced like he once was either. And then you're talking about guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., where you're just really throwing darts and hoping he doesn't get in early foul trouble. He's hit a bit of a rookie wall, not just with the fouling, but just permanent production, efficiency, and consistency. All of that have come down. So not really huge on that. And then I will just throw him out here because it's possible that in 25 minutes he could have a very strong game. Derek Favors facing Atlanta. Huge pace-up spot here. You know, obviously it'd be tough to keep this game close, but crazier things have happened. Aside from that, yeah, it's a less than stellar position, and I don't think I can get to Al Horford at that price now that Kyrie Irving's returning and everybody's healthy.
Yeah, absolutely, and that will put us on the pivot position as we look to close things out. The 5-figure price tag is one Nikola Jokic going against Houston. This will be a fun one to watch. We do get the staggered games. There's only 5 on Friday, and this is the second to last game. So if you're going to be hanging around at home, definitely check that one out. But Jokic going against Houston, he is 10,800. Rudy Gobert gets that tasty matchup against John Collins, Dwayne Dedmon, and Alex Len. He is at 8,500. And then Mark, I'm banged up Gasol. I'm on the trade block, so I do want to show out He has topped, 35 fantasy points in 4 of his last 5. Not horrible. A reasonable matchup here without Zeller for the Hornets. What do you like here at the pivot position as we finish up our Friday podcast?
Oh, wow. Sixers started already.
They did. They're still in shoot around. You got a moment. You know I'm hooking you up.
No. Like they actually started, oddly enough.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because usually
we're 4 minutes after the half hour, Lofty. They always take a
long. I know. It's usually 11 minutes. Yep. Very strange. I'm watching it on CSN because I'm in the Philly area, but my guess is this is probably a nationally televised game. And with oftentimes, depending on what channel it's on, let's see here, it is on TNT. Yep. A lot of times TNT will start right at or around the actual minute mark that it's expected.
So you mean the NBA really could start closer to their actual listed start time, much like Major League Baseball, which says we're starting at 7:07.
Yep.
7:07 and 30 seconds. There's that first pitch.
Yeah, well, that's Toronto, yeah, but I know it's crazy. Toronto, for some reason, does the 07. I don't know, it's weird, it really is. And then the Atlanta Hawks do the 7:30 or 7:35. Yeah,
that's hearkening back to the TNT TBS days.
Yeah, it's a weird game. So let's close it out. I do like Jokic as we talked about. You're talking about a few guys that are all in good spots, whether it be Harden, if Chris Paul's out, we know what to do. Jokic, Westbrook, and then Chris Paul or Paul George. But I do like Paul George better on DraftKings, where he's a lot cheaper than Westbrook and a lot cheaper than he is on FanDuel as well. So let's close it out here. Fareed, Millsap, both of them eligible here. Jokic, Steven Adams. That's kind of an interesting one. We'll see what happens with Steven Adams because, if he is out, last I heard, he said he was like hopeful to play or something. Do you know, did he say hopeful to play? You had all the injuries together.
I've got my big long list here. It says he is probable with the ankles. So yes, I'm expecting him to play.
Okay. Yeah. I still have him as questionable, but
I was expecting LeBron to be out for another week. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah. Tell me about it. But in the event that he does happen to sit, then, yeah, you've got somebody like Nerlens Noel that would come into play as a decent, cheap option that's still below $4,000. The position really doesn't have that much. Did you see, Whiteside played 3 minutes and then came in like with a minute, or came with like a minute left in the first and got in foul trouble. And it's really a shame because the damn guy played I think like 15 total minutes in the game. Yeah, had 21 fantasy points. Yeah. Like he's always way over a fantasy point per minute. Look at this: 32 minutes, 49, 22, 37, 24, 44, 15, 21. Always, except just everyone. You want to give Bam Adebayo these minutes, and quite frankly, Adebayo is okay, but he's really nothing special at all. It's just frustrating because I would absolutely love to play Whiteside. Would love to play Whiteside, even against Adams. And you know what? I still have some interest because he's down to 6,700, and maybe Spoelstra. I got lucky with Whiteside the other day. Maybe Spoelstra will decide to do the same thing and give him 30 minutes here. If he does, it doesn't matter if he doesn't play that well. He's still going to produce enough. And then you have Rudy Gobert and Marc Gasol, those two guys. I like Gasol at $7,800 on DraftKings. On FanDuel, you're getting him at 82, so a bit higher than he has been, but still okay, especially when compared to Gobert, who's 9,200, and a bunch of these guys are always overpriced. I still think Gasol is at a decent spot there. So that's pretty much what we've got here at center.
All right, that is going to do it for us. Reminder on Friday, which you should be getting this a little bit after you listen to this. About 9:15, you're going to get one Adam Ship My Money Share along with Josh Engelman for the DFS Strategy Show. Make sure to check out the YouTube channel there, Awesemo's YouTube channel. Subscribe and like, but hit that notification bell so you can see when we have all of our content dropping, and we have a ton of it. We are doing quite a few betting shows, golfing shows, and Josh Engelman has started up a bankroll management tracking show. That is definitely one that you want to look at. You can check that one out at your leisure, but definitely do look at that one, especially when you want to remember we don't like to hit the deposit button here. So you can follow Laffy at Laffy_D on Twitter. I am at EMACDFS, and it is Awesemo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.